All right, guys, so we are back with another review. This is Philip Pence. He is one of our pros in Pro Feedback, and we're going to review a rock cue by Billy Garzone, one of our Pro Feedback members. Remember, if you want to get your tracks reviewed like this in this type of a format, you do need to join us in Pro Feedback. It is the only place that we are able to help you guys in terms of giving you personalized feedback, video-based, and also text if you want it. For your sync licensing tracks to make sure that you guys are on the right track. So let's go ahead and jump into this rock track. Philip and I will take a listen, and then I'm going to basically hand it off to Philip. He's going to give us his notes, what he thinks is working about the track first, and then we'll both try to tag team on how to help improve this track. So let's take a listen to Demon Bolero. Let's take a listen. Very cool. So kicking it up there at the end with the double kick pattern, I really like that little intensity that you sort of threw in the air there, in the end there, Billy. So really cool track here. Definitely a lot of things that are working for it, and certainly high energy, energetic rock music is one of the most licensable styles out there. So in terms of your direction of where you're going with this track, I think thumbs up for sure. This style of, I guess, a little bit more kind of like the indie rock sort of approach to things, but this is very, very licensable. I've done quite a bit of this music myself in my career, so I can definitely give you guys the stamp of approval that this direction does really work out. However, there's definitely some things I think we can help you improve upon with this track, but let's not have me go on and on about it. This is really more about you guys getting to know Philip and what he can help you out. So Philip, let us know, what did you think about this track in terms of what was working about it first?
Hey Billy, I think this is to echo what Jesse said, I think it's got great energy. I think the parts are really cool. You know, First and foremost, I think everything is in time, which is a big plus. Starting off, I think the bass riff is really cool. I could even stand for it to be a little more gritty, just a little bit more like Corn or something like that, where it's it's cool as it is, but for what I would imagine this to get placed on, some kind of angst-ridden, edgy sports montage or a chase scene or something like that. Like it could even be like, just raunchy, dirty. And that's just a preference thing. It's not right or wrong. And the intro, I thought when the drums come in with the after the bass riff goes, they just kind of crept in a little bit, and I think that it could be maybe a little bit more effective if there was a bit of a riser there and a big crash and a big entrance there with the drums, because this bass is coming in with this just mean attitude, and the drums I feel like would be more effective if they would match that. And I think the part's cool. I think it's just a big, breaking down the wall entrance. Um, and then my next note, I really liked the beat when it came in. When the full beat came in, I thought it really had a cool bounce to it, and really pushed the track along. Um, the guitar riffs, I think, are cool parts. I think the tone, I don't know if it's the tone or maybe the reverbs and delays seem to be bleeding into each other. And um, I would suggest maybe seeing if maybe back off some of those, or it may even be a panning thing, just to try to get some of those guitars to be a little more separated, where we can actually hear the guy on the left and the guy on the right, where it sounds like a stage mix situation. Because the parts are all cool. They just kind of seem like they might be in the same space, just occupying the same sonic space there. And one thing I like the 2-beat bars that you have on some of these transitions. I think that they kind of could benefit from having a drop in some of those situations. In sync licensing, it's always good to keep in our minds that we're giving these editors, we're giving them tools so they can cut these tracks up. There's not a whole lot of times when they're going to use our track from front to back and just pop it in and be done with it. They're going to cut it up and use pieces and use it how they need to. So anytime we can give them, a stop with a 1, 2, 3, 4 beat space, that's an easy edit for them to cut. And you give them a few of those and they're going to be like, hey man, Billy really designs these tracks so they're beneficial for us and it doesn't take a lot of work on our end. So any of those little two beat transitions, and they're cool, could be a spot where you could put one of those in, and maybe some risers in those spots. Some of these transitions, kind of like when the drums came in at the beginning, I feel like could really benefit from just a subtle riser, just into a crash, just giving some of that suspense, like, hey, something's about to happen, even though it's 1 beat or 2 beats long. It's just kind of pushes the thing along. I thought the ending was really good. Say I put at 118, there was a really cool riser in there. I think it was that synth riser that started halfway through the part, that kind of thing. Great energy right there. At 125, my note was just good energy. I think that's when the full band was happening, and the guitars and the drums were just going all out. And there at the end, I think it was, you're just barreling into the end with great energy there, and it had definitely gotten way bigger than you started. So that's a good thing. And I even like the stab on the end. I thought it was a good period on the sentence. So good job, man. I thought it was great.
Yeah, definitely. I would echo everything that you said there. I think the first note you gave is exactly where my biggest issue with this track was. You said like the bass needed a little bit more edge to it. I think actually even this entire track just needs a little bit more edge to it. It felt a little safe. It's trying to be a dangerous, rough around the edges rock track, but it feels too smooth and kind of calm and quiet for me. So I want more clipping, a little bit more clipping on almost everything. Like I want that bass to almost sound like it's blowing out. I want those drums to really be smacking super hard. I want, like, just like Philip said, I want those guitars to really have a lot more growl, a lot more attack, and probably a lot more definition so we can really hear them a little bit better. I think we got to definitely, it's so interesting how a few of these reviews I've been doing with the pros here, it's been actually a fairly common note we've been giving with some of these tracks is, like, I can hear this where it wants to be. Like, this wants to be a massive, huge, like a Black Keys kind of rambunctious, rebellious rock track. It wants to be that. but right now it's being performed as if it's kind of a nice, polite rock track, right? That you don't want to disturb too many people in the bar. So a lot of that, though, can come down to literally your settings. So how you compose this, how you put this together, I don't think you really have to change much about that. It's just like Philip said, crank up a little bit of distortion, get a little bit more comfortable with limiting, maybe soft limiting or even hard limiting some of your instruments, some of your groups. We talk a lot about that in our Sync Academy tutorial, so definitely check those out. And experiment and try different ways. There's not going to be one way that's the right way, but definitely experiment with different ways of just adding more impact and intensity into your music. This middle section you had here that starts at, I think it was right, 41 seconds. That is a theme potential right there. And this part, when you kind of had the sort of singing and the sort of lead guitar kind of echoing each other, I actually think that actually might have been a better way to start the track. Because it's like you just start us off with something that's just hooky. Right off the bat, we're like, that's really cool. So I almost think maybe restructuring this track and maybe cutting some of it out. If to me it felt a little long, I don't think it needs to be 2:21. I think 2 minutes is probably the max you need to have on this. Some of these sections felt like they were sort of repeating without adding a lot of new development to it. So I just got a little bit, especially the intro. I felt like the intro was a bit too long, or at least maybe nothing in the intro really captured my attention until you had this lead part come in at 41 seconds. So maybe restructuring this so it's like, this is one of these golden rules for all licensing materials is you got to capture the attention immediately within a couple of seconds, because as these supervisors and music library owners and everybody, all the clients are going through music, a lot of times they're clicking the down arrow, which starts the next track at the beginning. Sometimes they will have the waveform and they can kind of go through where they want to, but a lot of times it's just a matter of it's on play and they're hitting down, 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 down till they find something. So your track needs to immediately at least have a lot of energy. I felt like your intro wants to have energy, but it's not delivering that. When this lead comes in, I feel like the energy finally got to this track. So just some restructuring ideas there can maybe potentially put you in a better position. But overall, as Philip and I both said, the right direction is going on here. I think reality shows for sure would eat this stuff up all day. You can certainly see some commercials and maybe some ads as well. But I think reality shows is probably where you're going to find primarily most of your placements. Maybe sports as well. I could definitely see this, of course, with sports. But if this is going to go sports, it's got to be a lot dirtier. It's got to be a lot more aggressive, because you got to remember sports is about testosterone and aggression and bumping into each other. So you got to have a lot more kind of hype in your music and in your production. So I think you definitely have a little ways to go. You're probably like at a 6 out of 10 in terms of the impact of this track. So we need to crank that up to a 9, hopefully up to a 10.
I think one thing that I learned a while back is, especially with digital production now, like push it up to the edge where you think like, oh man, this might be too far, and then push it just a little bit more, and you'll know when it's too far, because then it just starts sounding bad and it clipping, and then back it down just a little bit. Like, don't kind of creep up to the edge, like run up to the edge and then find where too far is, and then just back it up a little bit. And a lot of times that's where the sweet spot is.
I love that. That's really, really great advice. It actually will save you time too. Just go way too high and come back. I remember actually in college, one of my professors taught us that. It said like to learn how to do anything, push it to its extremes, then start tapering back and see what it's doing to your mix, kind of a thing. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, Philip, thank you so much for your time today. I hope, Billy, you got some good notes from this, and for everybody else, you guys took something from this as well. And again, do learn about Pro Feedback in the description box below. You can learn about the membership and how to get access to really cool feedback like this for your tracks if you feel that'd be useful for your sync licensing career.